Good day to you, friends. If you're watching this video, it's because you want to see the bow that we picked to be bow of the year for 2026. To preface everything you're about to watch, I wanted to add this part to the video because I want you to take some things into consideration before you watch it. Everything that you're about to watch is very subjective to how I feel about a bow and what makes a good bow good for hunting or good for 3D, mostly for hunting, because that's mostly what I do. I don't place the same emphasis and importance on certain things that other people would. So I have some friends that they really place an emphasis on speed. Speed does not mean that much to me. If I'm looking at a bow and it says 330 feet per second, I realize that it's probably going to be a little bit more comfortable. If I see one that they're pushing that's 350 feet per second, I realize there's going to probably be a little bit steeper climb into the draw force curve, and it's going to be a little bit harsher to me. That's the only way I look at speed. I'm going to build my arrows the way I want to, or the way I have learned to be the most effective for me in the past, without worrying about how fast my bow is. The other thing is, everything is completely subjective to the shooter as an individual. So when you hear me talk about how I feel about a bow, you've got to remember what I just told you is important to me, and speed is not it. It is all draw and hold and repeatability. Well, it may be completely different for you. That's why it's important that you don't look at us the content creators here on YouTube as the sole source of your information, and you take the time to go to your local dealer, set up an appointment with them, whatever you need to do, so you can get some one-on-one time, actually learn about the different technologies and functions of the bow, and get some time behind the string with somebody that can give you some good instruction on, and you get a much better feel for it. So that's my preface to this video. Remember, some of us get paid to bring bows to market for you. I am not one of those people. I got like 570 subs at the time of making this video. Nobody's paying me for anything. The bow that I selected for bow of the year, I went and bought from Eastern Outfitters. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following along in my journey here on YouTube. Please, if you're not already a member, if you're not already subscribed, please like, subscribe, comment, leave us some some positive input, leave us some constructive criticism, or tell us what you want to see next. Anyway, thanks for watching, and the video's coming now. Good day, friends. Today's video is going to be a wave top review over the 5 flagship bows that I reviewed this year, and then I'm going to make my pick for, I guess, our version of bow of the year. But this is the bow that I purchased from Eastern Outfitters that I'm going to be taking a field this year, whether it be the UARI Bow Hunter Challenge, the Appalachian Bow Hunter Challenge, the R100 down in Georgia, or some of our local 3D shoots. So please stay tuned as we go through this. But once you get it back and get it on the cable stops, it's very solid. Feels really good. The post shot, just a little bit of jump, but that's about it. And as you saw, the new tuning feature, the XTS or exact tuning system, 3 adjustments, and I had it shooting bullet holes. But I can't say enough about how simple that was. So kudos to Hoyt for that. If you're a Hoyt fan, you're really going to like this. Again, it comes in a 33-inch axle bow as well. I thought it was a fantastic little bow. I was really surprised. So when I first got this and started playing with it, I had some difficulty getting groups with it at this distance. I was getting some weird flyers, and what I found out was, it's like all bows, you really got to get used to the grip. And once I got used to really seating my hand up high on that grip and using kind of a medium grip instead of a low, it really seemed to shoot better for me. The tuning feature, so the deadlock on this thing, as you saw, that was, once I got the rest and the knock height set, I locked those in, and then I came back. So I had my center shot and my knock height set, and then I came back, and you saw the right tear that I had. I made one adjustment, and it shot a bullet hole. So very pleased with that. The bow feels really, so it says 4.09 pounds, but it feels really a little bit, it feels like one of the lighter bows, kind of like the ARC or something like that. It doesn't feel the full 4 pounds. They did a really good job of balancing the bow out, and it feels really light on the shot. I would put a back bar and stabilizer on this bow only because I need the extra weight to make it balance a little bit better, and that would probably tighten up that group as well. And I'll tell you, don't have a chrono here anymore, but man, this thing zips. It's a rocket off string. Once you put the Z mod on it, it calms down that hump on the back end. Both have short valleys into the back wall. Both are pretty jumpy, but the Z mod, it really smoothed it out, and you're going to give up some speed doing that. But I love the way the bow felt on the draw into the hold. You know, that short valley forces you to keep your back muscles contracted and stay in it. So I think you could get used to shooting this really well. After the draw, you know, it holds really well. Like it's a good solid back wall, and the bow just aims really well. I don't mind the grip. I know Mathews, most people, if they have a problem with Mathews, it's the grip. I don't mind it. It's pretty narrow. It's got nice texture to it. You can see the stippling that they put in it there. It feels really nice. And it's got a nice rubbery texture, so your hand should stick to it pretty well, even when you're a little bit sweaty. So then the shot experience, you don't feel anything. It doesn't jump. It's not lurching forward. It's not a ton of vibration. It feels great. So it's a home run for Mathews. I'm pretty sure. I think they're probably going to sell a ton of them. Fantastic bow offering from Darton. This is their 2026 bow. The draw, if you're a Darton fan for the past couple years, the BBS cam is pretty much similar, but this is a fantastic option. I really enjoyed testing this and doing the tuning portion of it. As you can see, I had to make an adjustment to how the rest was set up, and then the rest was just a couple of fine-tune adjustments on the roller guard tuning feature, and this thing's shooting bullet holes. And I got it to shoot bullet holes from an arrow that weighed 440 grains with a 340 spine up to a 495 grain arrow with a 250 spine. So you get a plethora of adjustment in that and the roller guard feature without even touching the perfect timing or the perfect tuning in the limb pocket. So drum roll, our pick for bow of the year, or the bow that I'm going to buy, it's going to be the Darton TriTech 31. And there's numerous reasons why I picked this bow. I just love the draw and the hold on this bow. The other thing that I really like about this bow is the amount of adjustability you have in tuning this yourself at home. Whether you're talking about having 1/4 inch draw length adjustments, selectable let-off adjustment, you have your pocket tuning, or the perfect tuning as Darton calls it. You have the perfect timing. You also have your roller guard that is now gear-driven adjustment. It's all different ways you can tune this at home without having to go back to your dealer. Like say if you wanted to change a mod on a Mathews, you'd have to go back to a dealer, get the Z mod, or get a different draw length mod, or a let-off mod. I can do this all from the Darton and what comes in the box from the manufacturer. So that's really the reason I picked this bow. It draws, it holds, and it shoots lights out. It is a tack driver. This year they completely redesigned the riser, the cam. They moved the axles to the top of the limbs. You now have a pick rail in the front. You have an integrated rest mount on the back. You have your upper and lower stabilizer holes. You have your rear stabilizer bushing. This thing has everything you could want on it. It has, you can see I already have the quiver adapter mounted to it. So, and the other thing that they came out with this year that I actually fits on my sequel from last year. They have this pull rope adapter. It screws right into your limb pocket, so you no longer have to put anything in your cams or around your limbs. You can put it right in this, and it's a very, I think it cost me like 15 bucks maybe. You know, so it's a real cheap accessory that allows you to put a pull rope in here, and these limb legs that they make for them, these are super nice as well. They did a fantastic job with these bows. So the Darton TriTech 31, I got a sequel 33, so I was looking for something in that 31 inch range. This was the bow that I went with. Like I said, you can't beat the amount of adjustment that comes in this package of a bow. And I love the new rubberized grip that they have on it. You can feel it's stippled, so it grabs your hand pretty nice, but it's only as wide as the riser. It feels like my sequel 31 when I'm shooting off the riser, but it has a rubber texturized grip. So when I'm getting a little bit sweaty, my hand still sticks in place. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to do a little bit of a bow build. There'll be no tuning involved, so it's going to be pretty quick. All right, so now as we start this bow build, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm gonna show you what I'm setting it up with, but I'm also gonna give you an alternative to the what I'm putting on here, because there's some accessories that I really like that I think are more cost effective for people that might be a little bit more conscious about what they're putting into a bow. So the first thing I'm gonna put on here, this is a Hamskea Trinity. This is the Hybrid Hunter Pro, and I've had this for years, and it's a micro adjustable rest. You can pick these up a little bit cheaper than you can get the Everest. In this sense, like a lot of times people want these integrated mounts because they're going to put a quiver or something on the side of it. I've ran this on a bow. This rest does not interfere with me bringing my quiver and arrows in as close as I need it to. But if I wanted to go with something else, is very price efficient. I think the new Hamskea Everett, which will connect here to your integrated mount system, is a great option as well, and it's around the same price point as this older Trinity Hunter Hybrid Pro. Truth be told, I just don't think that with these newer bows that have all these pressless tuning methods, I just don't see the value in having to micro adjust like the R7, right? So I have an R7 on my Hoyt, and I love it. It's a great rest. But if I have a rest that I'm going to lock in at center shot, whatever the manufacturer's recommendation for center shot is, then I don't really see a need for me to go and buy a micro adjust rest when I'm going to lock it in place and do all my tuning from the bow. Which is, if you watch the TriTech video that I did, I was able to tune 3 different spine arrows, 4 different weights, just from this roller guard adjustment that they put on it. It took a pretty significant I think we had a right tear, and it took all of that out, like I said, with 3 different spine arrows. So we went from a 340 spine Easton to a 250 spine Black Eagle Rampage, and we got all of that taken out. And I do like running a bolt in both burger holes when I can get it, but this one is not going to. That second hole is too far forward. And I may still put the Everest on here, just because it's a lighter rest. It fits more compact to the bow. I do like those features. So the first thing we're going to mount up here is our rest. I do have the limb legs on it, but the first thing we're actually going to mount is the rest. Arrow I'm going to go with is going to be this Easton. Let's turn it around so you can actually read it. We're going to do this Easton Sonic 6.0. It's the same arrow. If you saw my Iowa bow hunting video, it's the same arrow I went with for that. So I'm going to hang this here. And basically, I'm going to use the arrow to act as a plumb, and I'm going to run the rest up until I got even amounts of arrow on both sides, or even amounts of burger hole on both sides of the arrows, to know that I'm shooting straight through. Back up a little more. That looks like it's about it. All right, so now I have the bow in the vertical position, and we're going to start checking. Since we have, when I had the arrow laying horizontally, I had my arrow acting as a plumb. Now I'm going to put it up vertically, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my bow is level and my arrow is level, and then I'm going to recheck what I did when I had it horizontally to make sure that it's in the right position. And we'll do all this before we put our soft knock points on here. All right, so this bow isn't level. Now the bow is level, and we need to make a tiny adjust to the knocking point. The bow's perfectly level. Frog hair, there we are. Everything is perfect. The arrow is perfectly level. The bow's perfectly level. All right, so the rest needs to come down just a bit. Check this again. All right, we are just a bit high, dead in our burger holes. The front of the arrow is level. The bow is still level, so I think we can lock into this spot, and we're going to have our knocking point. So the next part is we are going to mark. I'll take the silver Sharpie, and I'm just going to mark the top and the bottom of the knock. All right, so for our first knocking point, we're going to basically do a constrictor knot. So I'm going to lay this thread, serving thread, long ways down the string, and I'm gonna hold them both. This finger, I'm gonna hold the Allen key with that finger, and I'm gonna wrap around that tag end, or that loose end of the string, against the bowstring as I wrap the main line around it. And there's no need to put a bunch of these. I'm just going to do 4. Make one decent little knocking point. Holding that Allen key in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it gives me nice loops because I'm holding pressure for one side. So I have these nice big loops to push my other string through. And I'm just going to pull that knot down, make sure they're not crossed. And that's our constrictor knot. Take these 2 slack ends, or these 2 long ends, and I'm going to wrap them. Pull them tight. Make sure they are locked in. Now I have my lighter. I've got this knot tightened down. I'm going to take my lighter, melt those down. Always melt to the side of the string. Don't melt down on it. I want to come from the side. Don't let that heat get directly on the string. My first knot point is locked in. Now the key to this, we're going to do a second one. The key is to not lock in both of them, right? So, all right, we're going to pull it down. Now it's been snugged, but it still can slide up and down the string. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can check my gap between my knock points with my arrow, because I want just a tiny bit of slack in here. I don't want it to be, and you can pull your knock out. You don't have to use the arrow. So I want to pull this knock, put this knock in here, and I mean, you see, just it's not quite an 1/8, but there's some slack in here. See if you can see that. Just a tiny bit of gap in here, and so you can see there's just a bit of gap in there, because that's how we're going to keep it from getting knock pinch in here. So I'm pretty happy with that little bit of. All right, so you see that we got just a little bit of gap in here, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's not quite an 1/8, but you got just a bit of a gap in here, and that's what I'm content with to keep us from having knock pinch. If I screw it up, I'll have to come back and redo these knocks. I have to redo my whole D loop, but as far as I'm concerned, that looks like it's locked in place. So I tighten these up. That knock is set in place. So now I have my 2 knocks in place. One way you can do this is you can pull them, you can wrap them around your Allen key, or you can try to use like needle nose or something like that, depending on what you got on your bench. And there, I'm locking my point. My knock point's locked in place, ready to burn it off with a lighter. All right, so now we're going to do our D loop, and the way I like to do my D loop is I take 4 1/4 inches. So what you're looking at is 4 1/4 inches of D loop material. This is BCY 24, and then I'll just kind of flare out that end. Get that end good and flared. Hopefully you can see that. Then I'll just take my lighter again. Once I get it melting, I'll take it down onto a metal surface. It happens to be the vise. I didn't get quite the knot that I wanted to see. We got the first knot. I'm gonna flare out the other end, redo that. There we go. Now we got both of those flared out, so we're ready to start putting our D loop on. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that knotted end, press it up against my string, wrap around. Then I'm gonna come under. So there is the first half of my D loop. Now, I cut mine at 4 1/4 inches because I like mine. I have 3 bows. Well, now I have 3 bows, and I want each of my bows to have a consistent D loop because I use the same Stan Onyx clicker, and I like the feel of where my anchor point is. So I want to make those D loops as consistent with one another as possible. Let me work this in a little bit better. I want to make sure that flared part of that knot is out. I don't want it getting trapped under the D-loop material. I want it above it like that, if you can see that. So I want it to be outside of that knot like that. I don't want part of it to get trapped under. or anything. So now that I'm happy with it being there, take my pliers, and I'm going to cinch it in a little bit so I can get some more slack, because when you cut it at 4 1/4 inches, you're not going to have a lot to play with. And I'm going to go on the opposite side of the string. I'm going to wrap around. Don't worry about the slack of your D-loop yet, because it's going to stretch some. So when I come out, I'm going to leave a little bunny ear out there, or hole, so I can bring that other flared in through it. And now it's through. You can use needle nose, whatever you want to pull that slack up. But I'm going to pull that slack up, and I'm going to try and seat these parts of that, these two parts right here. I want them to close in together just like these did. So I'm going to align my D-loop. I want it straight with the string, and then I'm going to cinch it down. And you know, you can use a pair of pliers like this that has a hook on it to do that. I happen to buy D-loop pliers if I can get it in. So now it's in, and I'm just going to give her a snug down, and it wraps around each end of these flared ends. So I know my knot's locked in well, and it happens to be where I want it. So our D-loop is installed. All right, so off camera, we tied in the rest. We got an arrow on here, and the cool thing about these Darton bows is there's a line for the center shot right down the middle of the arrow shelf. So we're going to take time. We're going to measure these, and if you're not sure, we're just going to look. There's your 3/4, your 13/16, and we're going to check to the middle of the arrow from the riser shelf. We're there, and we're there. So we got our center shot set. We're in the burger holes. So this thing is ready to have a sight bolted onto it, and we can go outside and start shooting. At this point, we can take it out and start tuning it. But just like with the rest, I wanted to show you guys some different options for sights. And we haven't even got to conquest stabilizers versus bee stinger or whatever. Talking about these sights, one of the sights I wanted to show you guys is this Trophy Ridge Swift Duo, and the Duo has 2 vertical pins, and that top pin is adjustable, so you can really work on dialing it in. I know I keep straight. I can't. Oh, you can really dial it into the center of the scope, or move it up, slightly up and down depending on how you have this thing set on the pick rail, and it may help you from having to move between one slot on the pick rail to the other. And one of the things I like about this is you can buy the adapter, and I think it's like 20 bucks. It might be a little bit more, but you can put any scope housing on this sight that you want to. It'll accept the lens. You can take this off and on. You have an ability. You can put a sight tape here. You can put a sight tape on your wheel. And you have a sight tape on the inside, on this inside that you can put in the event you wanted to put, build configurations for more than one arrow on here. You could run deer hunting arrow here, or you could run a tack arrow over here, or a turkey arrow over here, and really have the availability of all that. You have both your pin indicators here. You have 2 pin indicators there. You can micro adjust your elevation as well as your windage. And it comes with a rechargeable push-on, push-off light. Considerably cheaper than my other option, which this is a landslide with the 3-pin. Now these are cool because they have the micro adjust for the pins, so you can unlock each of the pins and use the micro adjust to dial them up and down, or you can do them one by one. It has a sunshade on it. It's threaded here, so you can put a lens in it. You can put their sunshade on the back side. This one happens to have, this was actually made for the 2 Ranger up pins, so I only have 2 pin indicators up here. It comes with metal sight tapes, it comes with paper sight tapes, and this sight tape is actually, I think, a spot hog tape. In the event that
say you're at a position that you want to go move it down, you can push the thumb wheel in, slide it down. And it's a pretty neat feature on one of these. It has a hard stop on it. This is considerably more expensive than Spot Hog. They feel about the same weight. There's not a significant difference between the two as far as weight. There is, however, in price. And you know, for those of you that it concerns, the Excel is made here in the States, and when you look at the Trophy Ridge, it is made in China. It is also less than half the cost.
Alright, so we're installing our booger button here. Basically, the way I'm going to do this is I've marked above and below. I'm going to put my first knock set on here. And I'm just going to do a knock set above and below it. And I'll put one on it. Same constrictor knot that I've been using, that I used for my knock set. Alright guys and gals, we are out of the shop, starting to do our shooting portion. I've already taken 2 shots to the paper, and you're going to see we have a tail high tear. Pretty significant tear, so we'll make a pretty good size adjustment to start with. Alright, see if you guys can see what I see down there. This is first attempt, second attempt. That actually got worse. And this is a good reason I keep a Blake's hitch on. The Blake's hitch knot on my drop board. So much easier. Alright, let's try it again. So we made some adjustments to the rest. Circle these up for you. I was hoping we'd have to use the tuning feature, but that was the third, and that was the 4th shot, rather. That was the third. I went the wrong direction with the rest. And I mean, I could, you know, if I was getting ready to shoot broadheads, I could probably clean that up just a touch, but the only thing left to do now is go put sight tapes on this thing and try to get it sighted in. I know it's pretty much already set up for 20 yards. I set it up here in the shop so I could do the tuning. The tuning was kind of, the tuning portion of this video was actually kind of a bust, because as you saw it, I had to make a rest adjustment because I was getting the tail high tear, and I went the wrong direction one way, made a big correction to go back the other way, got almost a perfect bullet hole, close enough for government work. Like I said, I'm gonna let the string stretch before I do anything else with it or try to perfect it. But that thing was, you know, from the factory, it took 4 shots and you're shooting a bullet hole without ever using the tuning features. So pretty happy with it. You know, stand by, watch the videos that we're going to make from the 3D shoots we're going to be participating in. See how this thing performs. I mean, it's pretty much in tune in 4 shots, ready for sight. With my tuning method, I just try to keep things simple, stupid, you know, and that's for me. It's I set my knocking points. The first thing I do is install the rest, set my knocking points in my rest to make sure my arrow's level through the burger hole, and then I'll tie my D-loop on my knocking points. I mean, at that point, try to verify the timing on it. The timing marks are in on the cams. I had already measured the specs. I knew it came from the factory in spec, which is a nice thing to have. I think some of the videos like MFJJ does, I mean, I think the manufacturer are doing a much better job of delivering to the dealers in spec than they used to. But everything felt like it was good. It measured up good, so he brought it here and shot it, and you know, within 4 shots, he got a bullet hole. So the Darton TriTech 31 is my selection for bow of the year. And if you're interested in any of the bows that you've seen on our flagship reviews, whether it be the Mathews ARC 30, the Hoyt RX-10, or the Hoyt AX3, the Bowtech Alliance 30 or 33, the Bear Redeem, or the Darton TriTech 31, 33, and 35, hey, please go down see Ryan at Eastern Outfitters. If you're interested in the sight that's on it, that is the Swift Duo, and it is a sub 300 dual vertical pin slider sight. The rest it is on it is a Hamskea Trinity. It's a Hunter Hybrid Pro, and it'll probably get replaced by the Everest, the new Everest that came out. And I'll say this again, like I think like a lot of the micro adjusts on the rest is kind of a moot point now that you have pressless tuning features on these bows, and this one comes with it in spades. So I think that it's just that the micro adjust is really not needed anymore. You lock the rest in and then tune the bow with everything else. Go down to Eastern. All that stuff can be found there. The arrows are the Easton Sonic 6.0s, and took them. I've been shooting them since last summer. Took them to Iowa with me. I shot my 10-pointer in Iowa with it was a Beast broadhead on a Sonic 6.0. Fantastic results out of that. And you can find all of this at Eastern Outfitters. Go tell Ryan I sent you. As always, God bless, happy hunting, shoot straight, and stay safe.